Welcome. Today we will be taking a behind-the-scenes look at one of my personal favorite Final Fantasy characters, Aerith Gainsborough. Aerith Gainsborough is a playable character in Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake. She also appears in Advent Children, Crisis Core, and Before Crisis. If you want to learn more about Aerith's story, I highly encourage you to check out my video covering her entire life. It goes very in-depth and explains everything from her birth to life after death in the livestream. Okay, so in today's video, we will be taking a look behind the scenes at what makes this character so great. This includes concept and design, character development, voice, and Aerith's reception from fans and critics. Alright, now that we have the introduction out of the way, let's get started. Concept and design. Aerith was one of the first three main characters created for Final Fantasy VII. She was prototyped by Tetsuya Nomura, with influence from director and scenario writer Yoshinori Kitase, as well as Hironobu Sakaguchi, whilst Yoshitaka Amano created conceptual artwork that also influenced her design. Something that I found interesting was that Aerith's long dress was a trademark of her representation, as to create a contrast to Tifa. For Final Fantasy VII Remake, Aerith's design was revised in terms of physical appearance and personality. Nomura's team wished to visually separate Aerith and Tifa, where Aerith's beauty would follow Western aesthetics, while Tifa would have a more Eastern-style look. Nomura requested Aerith's jacket resemble a biker's. As he was particular about this, the modelers checked with him very often. Character development. Early in the development of Final Fantasy VII, due to similarities between the hair in her design and Sephiroth's, the team debated whether they should make Aerith and Sephiroth brother and sister. This later changed to Sephiroth being Aerith's former lover. Later, the team would make a critical decision to change Aerith's first love to Zack Fair. This happened during the late stages of the development in the game. Originally there were only going to be 3 playable characters. This includes Aerith, Cloud, and Barret. Even though this was the case, the team still planned Aerith's death as part of the plot. Nomura and Kitase had decided that one of the main characters would need to die for the story's theme to work, and decided between Barret and Aerith. Aerith was ultimately chosen as the developers felt that Barret's death would be too predictable. Reflecting on the decision, Nomura stated that the fans' reactions to her death proved they were successful with her character, as her death would simply have been accepted if there was not such a strong reaction. For the Final Fantasy VII Remake, scenario writer Kazushi Najima described Aerith as the most important character, paying special attention to her lines. He wrote her under the presumption that her words were filled with hints of what's to come. He got some pushback for Aerith's warning to Cloud to not fall in love with her, with some of the staff feeling it made her come off as looking down on Cloud. However, if viewed through the lens that Aerith knows the future, it is a powerful line, and Najima thought the contrast was interesting, to say the least. Aerith was first voiced in Kingdom Hearts, and has had several different English voice actors. In Kingdom Hearts, Aerith was voiced by Mandy Moore. Later she was voiced by Mina Suvari for Advent Children and Kingdom Hearts 2. After that, she was voiced by Andrea Bowen for Crisis Core and Dissidia. Aerith's Japanese voice actor is Maya Sakamoto. She shares her voice actor with Lightning from Final Fantasy XIII and Diva from Final Fantasy Type 0. An interesting fact, Maya Sakamoto is actually married to Zack Fair's voice actor, Kenichi Suzumura. For the franchise's 30th anniversary celebration, Final Fantasy Record Keeper had a special commercial featuring Maya Sakamoto and Cloud Strife's voice actor, Takahiro Sakurai. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, Aerith is voiced by Brianna White, who runs a YouTube channel named Strange Rebel Gaming. Brianna auditioned not expecting to be cast, as Aerith is her first real voice acting role, and before playing the game, her only experience with the Final Fantasy series was with Final Fantasy XIV and XV, which she claims to have enjoyed. though she avoided playing 7 while recording lines, in order to keep her portrayal separate from the original. After recording, she played the game and uploaded gameplay of her playthrough on YouTube. Aerith is one of the most popular Final Fantasy characters. In the All Final Fantasy Big Vote in 2020, she was voted as the third most popular Final Fantasy character, below only Cloud and Yuna. In a poll of Japanese players, Aerith was also voted as the third favorite character for Final Fantasy Remake, right below Cloud and Tifa. Aerith's personality has received a positive reaction from critics. Stuart Hagen, writing for RPG Gamer, praised Aerith, saying her personality broke the mold for female characters, and rose above being a simple damsel in distress. Rob Wright, writing for Tom's Hardware in 2007, listed her as one of the top 50 female characters in gaming, describing her as, quote, pure-hearted and soulful as any hero, with outer beauty to match the inner beauty. The death of Aerith in Final Fantasy VII has been seen as a monumental moment in gaming history, due to the impact it had on fans. In 2007, GameSpy staff listed it as the top 10 cinematic moment in gaming history, calling it dramatic as it is beautiful, and comparing it to the death of Gwen Stacy from the Spider-Man comic books. Finally, Aerith received praise for her depiction in Final Fantasy Remake. Writing for Siliconera, Jenny Latta praised Aerith's imperfect personality traits, highlighting her nosiness, recklessness, and being a little annoying, for humanizing her in Remake compared to the original game, allowing her to grow beyond being an, I quote, idealized figure on a pedestal. I think Jenny hit it spot on with that review.
I used to live in the Shinra building, back when I was really little.
This concludes our behind-the-scenes look at Aerith Gainsborough. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. This will help support the channel and gain more exposure. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.